Wednesday afternoon. This is our February 5th edition of the map discussions and the forecasts. Very complicated situation across the Charlotte metro region as clouds have been late to develop and they might not hang around all that much, which means that previous forecasts where you had low 50s or even upper 40s as forecast high, we're already in the mid 50s across the Charlotte metro region. So, what are you going to do? Looking at our upper air maps, they are somewhere around here. So this is our 300 millibar maps. You see some perhaps a weak trough across the Texas coast. Meanwhile, you have onshore flow across the Pacific coast, which extends, down to the surface, and some more precipitation is expected across that area. But across the eastern part of the United States, maybe some slight anticyclonic flow because of a mid-level high pressure over Cuba has some influence over the flow across the eastern parts of the United States, and you have a very sharp boundary of temperatures across the central, maybe southern plains into the mid-Mississippi River Valley and the Ohio River Valley into the southern or mid sections of the southern mid-Atlantic, where some ice is of concern here in the next few days. But meanwhile, this high pressure system over southeastern Canada has been stubborn to get into place. It is moving slower than forecast, which is why the temperature forecast across the Charlotte metro region is complicated, to say the very least. But here's the high pressure center according to the GFS. Meanwhile, as we go into tonight, some ice and sleet breakout across parts of the mountainous regions of western West Virginia or eastern West Virginia and western Virginia. And maybe some precipitation across the upstate of South Carolina. As we make the drive into work across the Charlotte metro region and into the parts of the western upstate of South Carolina, probably expect some light precipitation, making for wet roads across the area. Meanwhile, as we push into the weekend, Friday night into Saturday morning, perhaps another round of some precipitation, mainly focused along the border between North Carolina and Virginia, as another system makes its way up and bringing some snow and ice to parts of locations that are going to experience snow and ice later on today into tomorrow. So this frontal system is going to be very weak. It looks like hardly any precipitation, mainly confined to the higher terrain of North Carolina. And then, so this area right in here from Texas northeastward through the mid-south into the southern parts of the mid-Atlantic region. Look how like this, storm after storm over the next several days. And that's because of our temperature differences dictated by the EPS. So this is the average 5-day 2-meter temperature anomaly. And look at the boundary between the cold air mass to the north and the warm air mass to the south. That boundary is oriented along those where those storm systems are. And that's no coincidence. So there's a pretty good signal of some higher than average precipitation across the mid-south and points south and eastward. but that kind of retreats back to the northwest between February 15th and February 20th. That time frame, you'll see a northwestward trend of the precipitation. And if we look at our precipitation over the next 7 days, so this is the EPS, over the next 7 days, you get higher than average precipitation across the Ohio River Valley into the Mid-South. And according to the GEFS, pretty much the same thing. Drier to the north and to the south of this region. But if we take a look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, according to the EPS, notice that this is where the temperature differences between the cooler air mass to the northwest and the warmer air mass to the southeast is oriented southwest to northeastward across Texas, the Mid-South, into the southern Mid-Atlantic. And this is exactly where the precipitation anomalies are forecast both by the EPS, the European Ensemble Prediction System, and the Global Ensemble Prediction System. So there's a pretty good signal that that boundary between the cooled air and the warm air is going to set up across, somewhere in this particular region. And it's pretty interesting. In fact, if we take a look at the AIFS, this is like the machine learning version of the European model, upwards of 3.5, maybe even 4 inches across parts of southern Kentucky and north central Tennessee. Across the Carolinas, you got ranging from a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, all the way up to that 2.5 to 3 inch range from the southwest mountains of North Carolina. Expect some pretty active weather across the southeastern United States over the next several days, getting into next week, as higher than normal precipitation is going to be experienced with most locations across the southeastern United States. But thank y'all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.